Question 32. The graph below represents y is a function of x. This is y is a function of x. That's the, or y is equal to a certain function of x. State the domain and range of this function. Well, the domain is the x variable, and the range is the y variable. X could be anything. Whenever you have two variables that one depends on the other, so one of them you pick as something that you can pick any number for, and the other one will depend on that. So usually you take one that has something connected to it. Like for example, y doesn't have anything connected to it. For example, y is equal to mx plus b, or y is equal to 2x plus 3, for example. And in such a case, the y, in order to find the y, you would have to put in numbers for x, because the x has things connected to it. Question 32. The graph below represents y is equal to a function of x. State the domain and range of this function. Well, domain is x, because x you usually pick any variable for, and when x is something, for example, you have y is equal to 2x plus 3, you would make a graph like this, and you would have x, and this is xy, and you put in for x negative 3, 0, and 3, and then when x is, let's say, negative 3, so 2x would be 2 times negative 3, which would be a negative 6 plus 3, which would be negative 3. That means when x is negative 3, y would be negative 3. And when x would be 0, it's 2 times 0 is 0 plus 3. So when x is 0, y would be 3. When x is 3, so 2x is 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 3 is 9. So when x is 3, y would be 9. So the x is what you pick any number for. You can pick any number for x. And then that's in order to find the range, how far you throw from. That means the domain is where you're standing. How far is your range? How far can you reach? So the domain is x, and the range is how far you can reach. That's y. So we're going to erase this because this doesn't really have a connection to the question. The question is, what's the domain and range of this graph? Well, if you see, it starts at when x is negative 5. You do x is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is negative 5 is the domain. It's where it starts. X is negative 5. And x is more than or equal to negative 5, because it's, of course, in the graph, it usually always touches that point. So x is less than or equal to negative 5. And how far does x go till? Well, it goes till x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it goes till where x is 8. So x is greater than and equal to negative 5, because it starts at negative 5. And it goes till, so it's less than and equal to 8. That's the domain. That's how far the graph goes on the x-axis. And the range, which is usually dependent on the domain, the range, which is the y-axis, you see it starts, y starts by negative 3. The lowest part is negative 1, 2, 3, that's over here. So by y is greater than or equal to negative 3, because it's connected to the graph. And y, the highest mark is 1, 2. So y is less than or equal to 2, because 2 is part of the graph. So the correct answer to this question is, the domain is negative 5 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 8, and the range is y is greater than or equal to negative 3, and y is also less than or equal to 2. You box your answer, and that's the domain and range. If you don't know what domain and range are, all you have to do is over here find what x is. Over here, x is greater than or equal to negative 5 and less than or equal to 8. and y is greater than or equal to negative 3 and less than or equal to 2. You don't have to see that they're the domain of the range. Just have to, it's good to know for a different question that the x represents the domain where you are, and the range is how far you reach with the y. So this is your answer. Question 33. Express radical 108 times x to the 5th power times y to the 8th power over radical 6x y to the 5th power. The first thing you have to do is, they are like terms, they're both under the radical sign, so you could divide them. So 108 divided by 6 is equal to 18. So you have radical 18. And x to the 5th power divided by 1x, it's x to the 5th power is x times x times x times x times x divided by an x. So you have x to the 4th power left. So it's x to the 4th power. And y to the 8th divided y to the 5th. So you take away 5 y's, becomes y to the 3rd. Because it's y multiplied 8 times, and you divide that by y 5 times, you're only left with a multiplication of y 3 times, because the opposite of multiplication is division. So you have 18, x to the 3rd power, y to the 3rd, you have radical 18, x to the 4th power, y to the 3rd. Now, what can you get out of this radical sign? Well, radical 18 is the same thing as radical 9 times radical 2. And x to the 4th power, we're just going to put it over here because it's a square, we could take it out. And we're going to leave x to the 4th power over here. And y to the 3rd, we're going to put a y to the 2nd. And on the right side, just going to have y, because y times y squared is y cubed, and x to the 4th power you have here, and 2 times 9 is 18. So I broke down 18 y to the 4th, I broke down 18 y to the x to the 4th, y to the 3rd, to 18 became radical 9 times radical 2, and x to the 4th I put under what I'm going to get rid of, and get it out of the radical sign, and y to the 3rd is just y times y times y. So take out one y, put that y over here. So y times y squared is y to the 3rd. Now radical 9 becomes 3. X to the 4th power divided 2 times becomes x to the 2nd power. And y squared is just plain y. And times 2y. So the final answer is 3x squared y times radical 2y. Here we're coming for Trig Log Be'omer, and they're about to put out the fire. Hey, they're putting out the fire. Oh, they didn't even start the next fire. The biggest fire didn't even start.
Whoa.
Here, come. Oh, you know, I think you have to stay up here. You want me to?
No, everywhere.
אתמורנו ורבינו הרב כאן קריטי בהקלט יומית של המקורם
סליחה. כן, זה אני באמצע משהו.
נכון, גם הוא באמצע משהו.
אבל יש מקום.
לא, אבל זה לא אמור להיות מעבר פה.
נכון, סליחה.
הוא עכשיו בא לקחת אתכם.
5 דקות.
הוא עכשיו בא לקחת אתכם. איזה תביא אותו. הוא הולך להביא.
אנחנו מודים מקרב לב לרב דור על הפעילות שלו במשך כל השנה, על כל מה שהוא עושה למען הקהילה, למען כל הילדים, והשנה גם כן למען הבחורים, על הישיבה בין הזמנים היפה שהוא פתח פה בקמח בקיר הסמי שבוע. לרב ומוישה קוקש, קליגנר, בר ההגמנה, בזכותו אנחנו שומעים משהו היום, ושל כוח לרב קוק. שימו לב, מחלקים דלבונים על לשמוע קדושת הכיליון. אנחנו מודים לחברת אביס על המתחם פה, זה המתחם שלהם של המכוניות. הם פינו את כל המכוניות מיוחד בשביל האדלוקה. כל הציבור מוזמן, ציבור קדוש ויקר. עוד כמה דקות אנחנו מתחילים את האדלוקים. אנחנו מכבדים את מורנו ורבינו הגויים, הרב כאן, הרב של קיר הסמי שבוע, שנמצא איתנו פה מדי שנה ושנה עם הקהילה החשובה לאדלוקס המדור. הדליקו את המדורה, נא להתרחק. רבותיי, נא להתרחק. כל ההורים לשים לב לילדים, נא להתרחק. ללכת אחורה, כדאי עכשיו מאשר ברגע האחרון. כולם להתרחק מהמדורה, המדורה המרכזית. תוך כמה שניות תעלה בלהבות. כולם מוזמנים פה לרקוד ולשמוח, לרקוד. עתנו הקודש רבי ציון, רק לא יכול. כדאי להתרחק מהמדורה. הציבור פה מוזמן למעגל גדול וענק לכבוד התנא הקדוש.
יכול לדבר לזה. תגיד, מה השם שלך? מה?
נתנאל בן שושן.
ומה אתה לומד בחדר?
מה?
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 מה, איזה מסבתא?
קידושין.
קידושין. ואיזה דף אתה לומד עכשיו?
מבית.
הרבי שלך דיבר על ל"ג בעומר? מה הוא אמר? בסדר, בסדר. מה אתם עושים בל"ג בעומר? אתה הולך על חופש או להגן? לאן אתה הולך בל"ג בעומר?
חופש, ואני לומד עם חברים שלי חברותא.
ועושים קצת שטק או הולכים למקום מישהו?